During the show, since I do mostly a music show, I actually queued in about 6 bands that have sort of like a Klingon look to them. So then I thought I'm going to throw in some music at tasteful parts of the show. I won't make it take away from the show. So if we're into something and we're talking and it's getting, interesting, then I won't introduce a song until we're at about a breaking point where it seems like it might be logical to do that. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
I'm going to do the little preamble, the little thing before we talk. Then I'm going to introduce you for probably about 2 or 3 minutes. And then I took AXANAR, Prelude to AXANAR, and I took the whole thing and I condensed it to like 3 or 4 minutes of little highlights.
You do a lot of work for your show.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the show on Sirius XM, so I do a lot of work for the show. You're right.
Good for you.
Yeah, everyone should have goals, so that's my goal. I keep bugging the hell out of them. At least they know of me, so I send a variety of shows to them to listen to, and this will be one of them. Okay?
Well, dude, the way you look, you should be on the Howard Stern channel. My girlfriend's going to run the blender for me. She's making me a protein shake for right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, give you energy. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I can mute it if it gets the doctors here.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Okay, no problem.
Hi, it's Fitz with slap chop 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 chop.
Hold on one second.
Okay, no problem.
Add this to it, bring it like this. Now you're gonna have a nice, exciting like that. Watch this, you're gonna love my nuts. Watch this, you're gonna love my nuts. Watch this, you're gonna watch this. You're gonna watch this, watch this, watch this.
Hold on one second.
It's worthless. Forget about it. One snort, one slap, and a tap, and a clap, 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 clap.
It's easy. You just got one hand and chop, 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 chop.
Watch this, tacos, fettuccine, linguine, martini, bikini.
Hey guys, welcome to Dave Darren Show. I have a tremendous show, a tremendous presentation from Alec Peters, who's going to be talking about AXANAR, which is a really cool Star Trek thing I found probably about 2 months ago. It's going to be really fascinating. The graphics of this presentation, you got to check this out. I love Star Trek. Rock guys love Star Trek. We all look like Klingons, right? So we all love Star Trek. So here's a little presentation, a little teaser to get you guys interested in what we're going to talk about. And here we go.
Doctor, if a Klingon were to kill me, I'd expect nothing less than an entire opera on the subject.
I just don't want to have to listen to it.
There's no red lights on the scanners tonight, not a Klingon to be seen. I'm protecting the constellations with karate and laser beams. Make it so, make it so.
I had sex with Tasha Yar.
Enterprise is mine. Jim Kirk can kiss my ass. Make it so, make it so. I don't care what the critics say. Let the show go on. The Borg never bothered me anyway.
Are we there yet? Now are we there? Does anyone want to play Dungeons and Dragons?
I swear to God, Will Wheaton, the next word you utter on my bridge will be your last. Try playing Dungeons and Dragons now, you little bitch. Mr. Data, Warp 9, engage.
Okay, welcome to Dave Darren Show. How's it going, Alec?
Great, Dave. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing really great. So, like I was telling the audience before I pulled you in here on Skype, I happened to find AXANAR probably about 3 months ago. So tell us a little bit about it in your own words. Maybe give us like 4 or 5 sentences about AXANAR, what it's all about, how you came to be involved in it. If you wanted to do sci-fi from the get-go, or you're thinking about doing maybe a more simpler sitcom, because obviously doing a sci-fi is pretty complicated. So give me a little get-go of what got you involved in this massive project.
So, Prelude to AXANAR, which is the video store, is a 21-minute short film we produced in 2014. We raised $100,000 on Kickstarter. We're able to produce this, premiered it at San Diego Comic-Con in 2014, and it is a Star Trek fan film, meaning it's not made by the studios, it's made by fans. Now, the difference between what we did and what other Star Trek fans have done, because there's a lot of Star Trek fan films of varying quality. Some of them look like home movies, some of them look like professional production. The difference with what we did was our Prelude to AXANAR looked like it came from a studio. It was so good. Professional actors, professional in front and behind the camera. It was really done to a very high level, and that's why it's got 3 million views on YouTube. And off of that short, we were then able to raise $1 million to make a full-length feature film, which unfortunately got the attention of CBS and Paramount, who then sued us because it was so good. And we went through 13 months of a lawsuit with 2 major studios. Fortunately, we had free legal representation, so it didn't cost us a lot. And we settled that, and we are now making 2 sequels to the 20-minute short you saw. We're making 2 more episodes just like that will continue the story. And the story is about Garth Abizar, who is a famous starship captain. He's basically the greatest explorer Starfleet ever had.
I am Lord Garth, and I was the greatest of them all, wasn't I?
He's basically Kirk, or there was Kirk.
Exactly right. Okay, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We talked about it a little bit. I wanted to introduce you first to our audience. So what I want to do now is I want to drag over. What I did is I took Prelude to AXANAR, which is the presentation that's available right now. So it's on YouTube and it's on your website for AXANAR, but it's called Prelude to AXANAR, right?
Yep, that's it.
Now what I did is I took the longevity of it, which how long is that presentation? About 20 minutes or so?
The full thing's about 21 minutes.
Okay, so I took it and I took out various parts of it to make it entertaining for a very short introduction to what you guys are doing. So it's about 3 or 4 minutes, but check this out. And guys, check out the quality of this, because Alec was just saying that it's an extremely well-produced product. And we're going to introduce you guys also to the actors that are in it, because they come from Battlestar Galactica, they come from the various Star Trek programs. So let's check this out first. I'm going to drag this over here, and we're going to see the quality of AXANAR, because it is amazing, and that's why I'm so thrilled to have Alec on the show here. So here we go here. Enjoy this little bit of AXANAR. It's called Prelude to AXANAR. By the way, you can go to YouTube and see the whole 22 minutes. Here's a little sampling of why you should go to that and why you should listen to the rest of the program here. Here we go.
They've been expanding their empire for 200 years before the Federation was formed. That there would be a conflict with the Klingon people at some point was obvious to most of the members of Starfleet.
About the only thing we were doing that impressed the Klingons was dying well. And there was plenty of that.
Starfleet was never seen as a match for the Imperial Navy. Certainly not one that would impede the growth of the Empire.
Their whole civilization, their whole culture, is a monument to the art of war.
We are facing an enemy that is consumed and committed to our total destruction. I do not fear the Klingon Empire!
And then there was Garth. That mad Isarian son of a bitch. That was his day.
What he did that day, no captain had ever done.
We got lucky.
Garth just went for it.
It was a new ship. They said she was tough. I want to see what she could take. It was a worthy adversary. And for the first time, we took notice of Garth of Izar. It was a Klingon that gave me that name. I guess there are a lot worse things that a Klingon could call you. It was frustrating to fight Starfleet.
Alec, we just saw Prelude to AXANAR, the little snippets I took from the presentation. It's fantastic. Now, let me ask you this. Before you got involved in doing AXANAR, what were you thinking? Were you thinking, like I said, were you thinking about doing something in movies, something in video, but you weren't latched on to doing a sci-fi thing? Because think about it this way. You can have a sitcom based in a bar like Cheers was a long time ago. It's a constant setting. There's not a whole lot of technical things to do with animations, with CGI, things like that. Obviously, you took a complicated approach to doing this project, and it came out extremely well. But was that your goal, was to do Star Trek or do sci-fi? Give me that. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, well, I never wanted to be in entertainment. That was I have a business that's an auction house for Hollywood memorabilia. That's what we do, movie props and costumes. But I got invited to play this character in a fan film, Star Trek New Voyages, which is kind of like the Godfather of Star Trek fan films. And when I got there, it kind of started this ball rolling that why don't we make our own film about this character? And that was 2010. And so I started writing a script. I started working with friends, finding people who were interested in working with me on it, and it evolved. And basically, we decided, we're going to make this feature film, and it's going to be about an hour and a half, and we're going to need about, at the time we were like, we need about $350,000 to do this, and that's like super low budget, right? That's crazy. So we were like, well, how do we get that much money? And another fan film called Renegades, Star Trek Renegades.
I'm aware of them. Yep, I know that.
They had raised about $400,000, and all told, for like 3 campaigns. And so we looked at what they did, which was really good. Their first trailer, their first teaser was Walter Koenig and Tim Russ in costume and in character as Chekhov and Tuvok. It was brilliant. It was really well done. And so we, I looked at that and we said, okay, that's what we need to do. We need to be able to make something that convinces fans we have the chops to make this full feature. So we were thinking about it. Well, what are we going to do, and what characters are we going to use, and how, and so we came upon this format, which is Prelude to AXANAR. But the funny thing, Prelude to AXANAR was kind of first designed as our Kickstarter video, and we needed a Kickstarter to do our Kickstarter video. So we were like, okay, we're going to need about $20,000 to do this, which was ridiculous that we even thought we could do it that cheap. That's just ignorance there, never having been in the business. And so we did a Kickstarter. We asked for $10,000 because we figured out we can make up the other $10,000. I was going to sell my car. I had a second car, which was a Lotus Esprit. I knew I could get some money. I was like, I can make it up with that. Tobias Richter, who was doing the visual effects, said he would work with us. So I'm like, we got $10,000. We'll be in good shape. Now, the budget wound up going up because we raised $100,000. We asked for 10, we raised 100. And it was because we had a very good ask video, a very good video, and AXANAR resonates with Star Trek fans. Star Trek fans see it and go, God, that's the kind of Star Trek I grew up on. That's what I want to see. And so we were kind of striking a chord. And so we raised $100,000. We made Prelude to AXANAR. It was incredibly successful. Sci-Fi Channel, their online website, said it was better than anything coming out of Paramount, which was really wonderful to hear. We able to raise money, and it started us on this path to, we got a warehouse, started converting it to a studio. We started doing things, and the next year, we released a 3-minute scene that would be in the movie called the Vulcan scene, between Saval, our Vulcan character, who was first in Star Trek Enterprise, played by Gary Graham, the same actor who played it, and another actress, Kim Alexander. And that scene was so good that it kind of spurred CBS and Paramount to sue us, because they were like, well, we can't, I'm assuming they're thinking that we can't have something that good competing with Star Trek, which is a shame, because we really wish they had just picked up the phone and called us, since I knew them and had worked with them for about 5 years. So I'd volunteered, I had been a licensee, I helped manage the Star Trek archive, flew this around the country for them. So I did a lot of work for them. It's not like everyone at CBS didn't know who I was. And if they had picked up the phone and said, Alec, we need you to make some changes, you would have made some changes.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Instead, they sued us, and it went on for 13 months. It was settled in January of this year, and we're now making 2 sequels to Prelude to AXANAR. The Canny View will notice that it's called Prelude to AXANAR is the title of Part 3 of the 4x4 documentary.
Well,
so we're making parts 4 and 5.
I think we do have a caller here. At least I'm assuming so. So let me see if I can get the caller in here. And are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so your name is, just give us your first name, and then we'd like to talk to you.
Megapan Trey here from Austin, Texas.
Okay, and did you have a question for either Alec or myself or AXANAR in general? What's your question?
I know that Alec is working on the script, and I know that he can't say much about it. What can he say that we're going to see here coming in part 4 and part 5 of the new story?
Okay, did you happen to hear that, Alec?
I did. So part 3, Prelude to AXANAR, is a cliffhanger, right? It ends on the introduction of the Klingon D7 into the war. So parts 4 and 5 are the Battle of AXANAR, what happens right after Prelude to AXANAR, and then what happens at the peace conference, because there was a peace conference at the end of this war. Now, fans need to understand, this takes place 20 years before Kirk took command of the Enterprise. So it's kind of what we're doing is a historical documentary, but it takes place before Kirk, Spock, McCoy, before all of that, and in this time frame, the Enterprise hasn't even been launched yet. So that's kind of the setting. So what will you see in episodes 4 and 5? The Battle of AXANAR, the peace conference. You'll see new characters. There's about twice as many characters as in Prelude to AXANAR. A new Klingon, because sadly Karn was played by Richard Hatch, our good and dear friend who passed away this year. And so we won't be recasting his role, but you'll see his mentor, a character named Moreau, who is a wise old Klingon, kind of the Yoda of Klingons, and you'll see him. And so that's what you're going to see in episodes 4 and 5. The battle, how was the battle resolved? The peace conference, what did it mean to Star Trek?
Okay, well, thanks for that. Thanks for the caller for calling in with that question. I do have a question for you, Alec. the first time that you saw one of these fan-featured presentations, and I happened to find some of the earlier ones, some of the real early ones that were not done as quite as well. Of course, you can't. I'm not downgrading them because everyone has their own technology at the time. They all have their own capabilities. They all have their own acting capabilities. But as we got into the last 2 or 3 years, some of them have been really good productions. Now, do you think that because yours was so over the top, and we saw parts of Prelude to AXANAR, and it was so outstanding, do you think that now with Discovery coming out, were they testing the waters and you gave them a little bit of fear?
You know, I think anyone who's on the inside of the case will tell you, you know, we've had judges tell us, yeah, you're just too good. That's the problem. You were just too good. Listen, you know, we never wanted, we don't see ourselves as competition for CBS's Star Trek Discovery, which is coming out this September. We never did. We're fans of Star Trek. We're fans of all Star Trek, and we hope Discovery does really well. So, but, you know, the timing with them launching Discovery and then suing us, listen, we believe that all Star Trek is good, and there's a lot of fan films. The first fan film was back in the 70s on 8mm.
It was, right?
Paragon's Paragon. It was really, it's wonderful to see it because, you know, we're talking almost 50 years ago. And through the years, listen, I guess it was in the 70s, there was a Star Trek fan film called Yorktown with George Takei playing Sulu, and James Shigeta playing Admiral Nagura, two famous, you know, obviously George Takei played Sulu, James Shigeta, very famous Japanese-American actor. And that film is being restored right now. And then you get into and then once 2000 rolls around, what happens is the technology of filmmaking starts advancing really crazy fast. Now digital cameras come out, and now everyone can make a movie inexpensively. You don't have to buy film. So that's what contributed. So Star Trek Exeter is the first of the modern fan films. You know, once you hit 2000, we enter a new period of Star Trek fan films. In the late 90s, there was Hidden Frontier, which was done on green screen. That transferred into the early 2000s. But once Star Trek Exeter comes on the scene, and I think that was about 2001 or 2002, 2003, right in that time frame, all of a sudden, all bets are off. It's their episode, The Tresorian Intersection, is one of the best Star Trek fan films of all time. And then Star Trek New Voyages launches.
Right.
And their episode, World Enough in Time, has Walter, I'm sorry, has...
I think it has Sulu, George Takei, right?
Playing Sulu.
Right.
And it's a wonderful episode. It's written by a Hollywood writer named Mark Zicree, who also directed it. And that elevated fan films.
I think it's one of their best episodes, too, by the way.
It is.
I've seen them all. In fact, I like that episode the best. It's the most touching episode as well. The most personality of all of their episodes was in that episode. So you guys should check that out. And then we did progress to another one, too. I think another fan film, right?
And then Star Trek Continues was kind of an offshoot of Star Trek New Voyages. And they, you know, similar thing, a whole set of sets. They acquired the sets from Farragut. Starship Farragut was another fan film set on a different Constitution-class ship. So they came out after New Voyages came out and were doing very similar things. And then Star Trek Continues comes out, which is very similar to Star Trek New Voyages. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy were recreating the look of the original series. And, you know, listen, production values are very high for both of those series, for New Voyages and Continues. The sets are great. The costuming is great. It's shot very well, usually by, you know, a pro. The lighting, it all looks like Star Trek, and they're very good. And you know, and then Renegades comes out. Well, their first movie, of Gods and Men, does fairly well. That comes out, and it has many of the cast of Star Trek. Tim Russ is in it. Walter Koenig is in it. Alan Ruck is in it. Michelle Nichols is in it. George Takei wasn't in that one. But so they have a lot of Star Trek cast, and it's shot very well. Tristan Bernard, who was one of our cameramen, was shot of Gods and Men, I believe, and and so I'm sorry, I think Doug Knapp, who was a professional Star Trek, he worked on Star Trek Enterprise. Doug Knapp did that one. Tristan did Renegades. So you have a lot of professionals coming into it, and the work starts looking better and better. The two areas fan films always struggling are story and acting, and that's kind of, the stories may be good or maybe need a little polish, not necessarily written by Hollywood professionals, not that we are, but and then that elevating by using the actors was really what made Gods and Men special. You're using Star Trek actors, you're using professional actors. And then they did Star Trek Renegades, which really, it was kind of like the first of the jet fuel for fan films. Renegades comes out and it's really it's shot differently, it looks different, and it still has some problems, but it's brilliant. It's really well done.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this question, because I'm curious about a couple more questions. Then we're going to play some music, because I promised some bands to get on this show. And I actually, was funny. I tried to make sure that all the bands had at least one guy in it that looked like a Klingon. So so that's what we're going to do. But I'm curious about this. The first time that you happened to see a fan film, one of the first ones I saw had the character Kirk, McCoy, Scotty, and all those guys. So I started thinking, is this truly allowed? So I'm curious about this, and you guys are not the dead. You don't have a Kirk on your show. You don't have a Spock. You don't have a McCoy. So I would have thought you guys were green to go and didn't have any. I thought you guys would be a lot less targeted, because you weren't dead on with the same characters. Now you do precede Kirk with the character Garth.
Right.
So that was a known character, but it was only in one episode that character came up. Now, you do have the Klingons, but that's just a group of people that's not specially focused on one individual. So I'm curious. The first time I saw one of the fan films, I thought, my God, are they allowed to do this? And then when I saw yours, I thought, you guys must be allowed to do this. So again, you're saying that it's not necessarily the individual characters copied from Star Trek, the original series. It's more like the quality of presentation is what got you guys in a little bit of a mess there. And so let me ask you this question. I'm curious about this. I know that some of the rules that you have to follow now are you can only do 2 more episodes of 15 minutes maximum, right?
Right, exactly. So we'll be making, so that means we get to make 30 minutes, which is 50% more time than we had in Prelude to AXANAR. So each of these 2 episodes is 15 minutes long. But the beauty of what we do is, because of the documentary format, you can tell a lot of story in 15 minutes. I mean, Prelude to AXANAR is 20 minutes, and it tells a lot of story. So we feel really confident that in 30 minutes we are going to tell a lot of story. And this is the new CBS Star Trek fan film guidelines, one of which says you can only make 2 15-minute episodes. That's it. They can't be longer than 15 minutes. You can't make prequels or sequels. That's it. So the rules. Listen, before the guidelines came out, and we've been asking for guidelines for years. I personally was out there asking the top people in CBS, can you please give us fan film guidelines? I started back in 2012. I had a meeting with Liz Kolodner, the EVP of CBS Consumer Products, on the Paramount lot. Great meeting. She's lovely. Talk to her. Hey, how do we get guidelines? Because that will help us. Because we don't want to step on toes. We love Star Trek. Help us get guidelines. And I was told by Bill Burke, the head of CBS Consumer Products, one of the VPs of Consumer Products. He said, it's impossible. We can't give out guidelines. It would take the CEO of Paramount and the CEO of CBS sitting down in a room talking nothing about guidelines. It's not possible. Which didn't make any sense to me. But I was like, okay, we want to make sure we're playing within the rules. Well, obviously, that wasn't exactly the case, since they found it pretty easy to come out with guidelines once they sued us. But the general guideline before then was just don't make any profit. That was it. They called out a couple people sometimes for selling stuff that said Star Trek on it. Star Trek New Voyages was selling T-shirts with Star Trek on it. They said cool it. A couple other productions were doing the same. They said, hey. And so we were very careful. One, we weren't a profit-making organization. That wasn't what we were about. Everything we were making was going into the film. And just tried to be very careful. We actually took Star Trek out of our name. We didn't use any marks. We didn't use Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. We didn't use the chevron, the patch chevron. We really tried but we were making Star Trek bigger and better than anyone else had done before, and that's kind of what finally caught up with us. And CBS was like, we can't have this. So,
what's going to go on with you guys after it's finished? Because it's going to be a real bummer for the fans. I mean, here's one thing to think about, and then we are going to play the music. But Star Trek in general, for the most part, from the original series, from the Next Generation, from all of them that we've seen, we all have gotten that on free TV. Now, it's not free TV because we pay for cable TV. We pay for satellite. People like sci-fi and they like the Star Trek movies or they like Star Wars. They want to see it on the big screen. So we are supporting the franchise already. But now we've got to support the franchise going beyond with Discovery, where we now have to pay for it. And there's going to be a gap left by the lack of fan films, which is going to be kind of a bummer because after your 15 minutes or 30 minutes in total, after all the work you've done, and everyone has done, all the fan films have done, to prepare not only sets, but affiliations and actors and scripts and all of this is going to go away, isn't it? After your 30 minutes is over.
Well, it's changing. So two things again. Yes, fan films are absolutely changing. That is very clear.
Are they going to go away, or tell me how they're changing? Oh, they're not.
No, they're not going to go away. And the evidence is there have been more fan films this year, in the past year since the fan film guidelines came out. There have been more fan films than any other year before. Fan films are changing, so they're going to change and adhere to the rules. There was a brilliant fan film called Chasing the Infinite Sky. 5 minutes. It's not doesn't have a real story to it. It's really much more of a visual effects opus. But it's brilliant. It's done by a couple brilliant guys who were like, we want to make a Star Trek film. And one of them literally taught himself how to do visual effects from scratch. It's amazing. 5 minutes, and it's one of the best Star Trek fan films ever. So fan films are changing. Now, the thing to remember also is the current owner of the CBS intellectual property, CBS, never made Star Trek before. They only own it because of a merger with Paramount that Viacom, the parent company, pushed the two together and then separated apart. And in the divorce, they gave what was Paramount's for 40 years, they gave over to CBS. So CBS has never made Star Trek before. And CBS the CEO, Les Moonves, isn't a Star Trek fan. So Star Trek is changing. Paramount changed Star Trek by rebooting it with J.J. Abrams. And listen, that was good for Star Trek, right? It's very divisive among fans. There's a lot of fans who don't like the J.J. Abrams universe. I happen to be cool with it. But, Star Trek is changing. What the fan films give us is they give us the Star Trek we're used to. They give us the Star Trek that we've always wanted, that we've always watched on TV. And I think that's something that fans really want. And that's kind of where the angst is. It's like, well, where's our Star Trek? The one we love. Star Trek Discovery, look, I'm going to watch it. We're going to buy a subscription to CBS All Access for our studio and invite our friends over to watch it, The Bridge of the Aries. We're all in favor. We're hopefully it'll be successful. It's very different from the Star Trek we grew up on.
Yep. I am curious about this, though. So we're talking about the fan films, which I love, and I love your fan film as well. Now, you mentioned another production. It slipped my mind the name of it. You mentioned them, but you said it's a 5-minute long thing. Now, does that mean that 5-minute long constitutes as the episode that could have been 15 minutes, but that's So they can only do one more if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 1 minute. So are they limited to 2?
Well,
or is it a timeline thing of 30 minutes where you can do 31-minute things if you wanted to, although nobody would do that. But is it limited to the amount, or is it limited to the amount of minutes?
I don't know. I really
okay, but you are limited. For instance, after you do 2 more episodes of AXANAR of 15 minutes each, not to exceed 30 minutes, you guys have to kind of go away. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting. Remember also that these are guidelines, right? And basically, CBS is saying, if you don't want to get sued or you don't want to risk getting sued, follow these guidelines. Now, that's not, the opposite is not true. If you violate those rules, it doesn't mean you're going to get sued, right? Star Trek Continues, one of the other fan films, which is one of those they replicate the original series, but just with amateur actors. They're releasing 4 more episodes. They're like, well, we were going to make, I don't know, 8 more episodes or 6 more episodes. Now we'll only make 4. But they are basically violating the guidelines. They're like, you don't care about the guidelines. We're good guys. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. CBS is going to look the other way. So they're blatantly violating the guidelines. And God bless them, because if CBS doesn't sue them, that's good precedent for other fan films. So, I think CBS, when they sued us, never expected us to fight. They thought we would go away. They were like, oh, we'll get our big bad law firm on it, and they'll sue this guy. And there's a great blog. If you like fan films, read Fan Film Factor. It's a blog about nothing but Star Trek fan films. It's great. It's a really well-written. Jonathan Ling's an amazing fan, loves all the fan films. Big fan of AXANAR, big fan of Star Trek Continues, New Voyages. He loves them all. And he writes a blog about it. And he has famously said, they just picked the one wrong guy to sue, because rather than go away, we went out. I'm a lawyer by training myself. We went out and got one of the top 20 IP litigation firms in the country to defend us, and wound up costing CBS over $1 million to sue us. And they sued their fans and got a year of bad publicity. That wasn't good. So I'm sure CBS next time hopefully will say, if they have a problem, they'll pick up the phone and say, look, we just need you to change this. Don't want to sue you. Can you, which wish they had done with us, because we would have loved to have worked with them and changed AXANAR and to been what they wanted. Because ultimately, them suing cost fans about $500,000 in lost.
Now, it'll be interesting, because if Star Trek Discovery is very successful, and it makes CBS and Paramount very happy that it's doing rather well, maybe they'll loosen the strings on you guys. I don't know. Now, maybe if Discovery goes badly, maybe they'll tighten up and they'll say, well, we're going to screw everyone because we went bad. I don't know. And hopefully, all the fans, I'm sure, really dig you, all the films that they've seen from even the 70s, because I look for that one, Paragon. I couldn't find it, though, because I'm the type of guy that does some research.
Check out on Fan Film Factor. He has a link to it.
Okay, pretty cool. So I'll tell you what. Let's play a music video here. We're gonna play this song by Blue Helix. Check this out. It's called Alien, and it's very interesting because the quality of your film is almost matched by the quality of these guys. Took 2 years to do this video called Aliens, and it's really kind of cool. So I'm going to play that. It fits really well with the show here. And let me spin you off to the right-hand side. Move them in. And this is going to be Blue Helix. It's called Alien on the Dave Darren Show. And here we go.
I feel like we are aliens dancing in the rain. When we try to disappear, time and pain were one in the same. All in all, I think I found a friend till the end of days. Will I call your name? I call your name in the dark and feel your warm embrace. I'll give to you all my truth. I love you and never let you go. 'Cause you're beautiful, how I never knew an alien like you could design a soul. I'll give to you all my truth. I'll love you and never let you go. 'Cause you're beautiful, how I never knew an alien like you could design a soul. Alien like you could design a soul.
Welcome back to the show. That was Blue Helix, and that was called Alien. You should check them out. Blue Helix, check them out online. They have a lot of other videos as well. All tremendous works. And let's bring back Alec on the Dave Darren Show. Alec, how's it going? Still there?
I'm still here. That was really good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and the guy spent, with his band, literally 2 years making that video. So there's a guy so let me ask you this question. We talked about CBS. And in line with what you did with AXANAR and what Sammy just did with Blue Helix, there's like no holds bar. When you want to do something, everyone wants to do something to the best of their abilities. So it's almost like you said that CBS had hesitations with you guys because the quality was so good. But how can you resist not doing the best capable work you could do? It's impossible to do that, right? Why would you turn it down a notch when you've got the capability of just going all out and doing the best work you can, right? So it's kind of interesting. But we did get a couple questions, by the way, while we were on the conversations here. This guy, same name, Alex, though, not Alec. He asked, ever meet any of the cast of any of the Star Trek TV shows? Who's nice? Who's a douche? And actually, he spelled douche incorrectly, by the way. So I'll have to send him a reply and tell him how to spell the word douche correctly. But I don't know if you want to shout out the guys that you might have met who were douches, but have you met any of the original series guys? Have you met any of the Next Generation guys? Ever meet any of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I first of all, I will never speak ill of anyone, any of these wonderful actors. I've had the great pleasure to meet a few of them, and for the most part, amazing people. Some of them are just more genial than others. George Takei is wonderful. I got to thank him because he did a big shout out on Facebook that really helped us raise a lot of money. So Adam Malin from Creation Conventions, the big Star Trek convention, he introduced me to George, and I got to spend about 5 minutes with him, which was wonderful. And George is the ultimate fan's fan. He's awesome. He loves the fans. He loves being with fans. He's so gracious and so wonderful. So George is as every bit as great as you see his his TV persona. He's amazing. A couple of actors I got to meet through Sci-Fest, which is the Los Angeles one-act science fiction play festival, which I became a member of their board. David Dean Bottrell, who, if you're a fan of Boston Legal, David was Lincoln Meyer, which was the serial killer on that show. He's awesome. But anyway, he brought me into the fold on that, and I got to meet Pat Talman, who was lead Alexander on Babylon 5, and who was on Star Trek many, many times, a stunt woman as well. And so Pat is amazing. We've become friends. I got to break bread with Armin Shimmerman, who's really a wonderful, wonderful guy. I just can't say enough great things about Armin. He's just such a gentleman, such a pleasure to work with. I was on stage with him. We're working a radio show together. He's awesome. I will say, I got lucky I was at Jerry's Deli on Ventura Boulevard in LA, which everyone knows, which is an actor's hangout. And the building next door I believe, is William Shatner's agent's building. And one day I was sitting in the parking lot of Jerry's Deli on the phone, and Leonard Nimoy walks out. And I was on the phone I said, I got to call you back. And as he walks toward me, it's Leonard Nimoy, and I walked up to him and I just said, Nimoy, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate all your work. And he was very gracious, very nice, very gracious man. I think what you find, obviously I've also worked with J.G. Hertzler, who's Gerald Martok from Deep Space Nine, who is just awesome. He's fantastic. You can't say enough good things about him. Gary Graham from Star Trek Enterprise is Saval in AXANAR, another just funny as hell. He's on the opposite side of the political spectrum for me, and we don't care. We get together, we just have a blast. The nice, really funny, plays in a band, which you'd love.
Wow.
Sons of Kirk. Yeah, Sons of Kirk it's called. He plays in a band. They even have an
send them out. Now check them out for sure.
Yeah. So my experience is that the Star Trek people I've worked with have been amazing.
It's not like when we were doing Trek, you and I were best friends or anything. I mean, you and that bullet-headed gas bag.
Whoa, wait a second.
What?
That bullet-headed gas bag happens to be a knight of the realm. No, you can say what you want about me, but I will not have Sir Patrick's good name besmirched.
Besmirched?
Yeah.
Give me a freaking break.
Oh, come on.
No.
There's a long tradition of hazing in the theater. Come on, it was good fun, that's all.
Good fun?
Yeah.
You guys rubbed your balls on Geordi's visor. What, you thought I wasn't gonna notice that?
No, that was all Sir Patrick.
I had headaches for almost 6 years. That guy's got the foulest balls in show business.
It's a pretty good burn, though, you got to admit.
Good burn. Look, I am an actor, not a pledge.
And who else is in the production? Because we talked about a couple. Did we talk about Kate? I don't think we shouted her out.
Kate Brennan from Battlestar Galactica,
Right.
who's not only stunningly beautiful, an incredible actress, really sweet, and the daughter of John Vernon of Dean Warmer of Animal House fame.
No one knew that. Thanks for
Yeah,
that. That's pretty cool.
You didn't know that, did you? I forgot how I found that out. I think someone told me, but who was also the heavy in The Outlaw Josie Wales with that great scene at the end. That was John Vernon, her father.
Wow.
So and of course we just have to again shout out to Richard Hatch, our long lost friend, who was really he was one of my best friends. He was just an awesome person, and we miss him dearly.
Yeah, he looks like it, and actually he was, so that people know what part he played in Battlestar Galactica. He was Captain Apollo, right?
In the original, and then he was Tom Zarek in the reboot.
That's right. I forgot about that. I watched less of the reboot. I should probably check out more.
Or
of the
gotta
reboot.
watch the whole thing. Best science fiction show ever on TV.
Yeah,
a lot
of people said that.
Deep Space Nine may be my favorite science fiction show of all time. Battlestar Galactica is the best science fiction program of all time.
Wow, how about that? Were you a fan of fiction from a long time ago, like The Twilight Zone? Were you into that as a young guy, right?
I grew up on The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, the original Star Trek, UFO, the puppet shows like Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet, Space 1999. Grew up on all of that.
Space 1999. I remember that. I thought you were going to say there was another. I forget. It'll come to me in a second. We had another fan question though. This guy Richard asked, the last Star Trek, Star Trek: The Next Generation, had actual models of the ships.
Right.
How about today? Are there any models of the ships that have been involved in your show?
Everything is CGI these days. Now, I will say that there's the new Star Trek parody, shall we call it, The Orville, coming on Fox from Seth MacFarlane, who, of course, Seth MacFarlane, the genius behind Family Guy and all those cartoon shows, and Ted. He's doing this show called The Orville, which is basically, it's like Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, that was cool, right? Too. I love Galaxy Quest, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of between the two. And everyone's looking forward to it. We're super excited about it. And Seth MacFarlane specifically has a model of their ship that they use for some scenes. He really felt that was important to do. They could have all done it CGI, but yeah.
I heard the Next Generation model actually sold for I think like 20 or 30 grand or something like that.
Oh, my friend. The full size.
Or was it? No, was it $1 million? I forget. I underestimated.
$500,000.
Paul
bought it for $500,000.
Wow! Look at that. See, I was way off base on that. The cost of those models is amazing. Let me ask you this: by the way, the part that you play, you're the producer of the show, you're the writer of the show. Are you co-writing with somebody else, or are you writing it mostly on your own? Or
Well, I had a co-writer. Bill Hunt was my co-writer on the feature length script for AXANAR. Right now, the two 15-minute episodes we're doing, I'm writing myself. Bill is really busy right now. If he becomes available, he'll work with me. But we're getting notes from Bill, the director, Rob Burnett, and then our team. We have a small group of about a dozen. I send the script out and get notes on.
Okay, and you play a character called Lord Garth.
No,
you play Captain Garth, and later when he becomes corrupt, he calls himself Lord Garth, right?
Yeah.
I want you to find what you once had. I want you to go back to the greatness that you've lost, Captain Garth.
I am Lord Garth, master of the universe.
By the way, he died at a very young age, right?
Yeah, I think 37, I want to say, he passed away.
Yeah,
which is
another
really
tragedy.
crazy.
Yeah, he had a tremendous voice. I thought he was a very good actor in this. You said the episode wasn't one of the best episodes of the Next Generation or of the original series. But to be honest, the actor's approach to the character I thought it was pretty excellent. That was one of the few episodes that I think William Shatner didn't sleep with anyone.
I don't know. That green girl, Yvonne Craig, Batgirl, played the green girl in that episode. Yeah, so it's a really great. The thing that fascinated me about this character is when you see him. He was in one episode of the original Star Trek, the episode called "Whom Gods Destroy," which is a third season episode, and it's really not a great episode, to be honest. But he played the actor Stephen Hatt played this character Garth of Izar, and he was crazy. He had gone insane. What had happened was he had been in some terrible accident, and the people of the planet Antos taught him how to heal himself. And in the process of healing himself, he went crazy. And so he is one of the last incurably insane people in the galaxy. And there's this new medicine that's supposed to be able to cure everyone. And hijinks ensue. That's the episode. But at the end of the episode, they administer the medicine and he starts clearing up. He starts becoming sane again. And there's incredible nobility to this character. And I always wanted to know, well, I wonder what was this guy? I mean, this guy he's touted in the episode as Kirk's hero, as his exploits are required reading at the Academy. He won some famous battle that basically built the Federation. You want to know, hey, well, that's a character I want to know more about. And that's what we did. That's how that's the spark that we said, okay, let's write his story. And that's what we did.
Right. And what was that episode that he was in called? What was it again?
Whom Gods Destroy.
Okay, because I don't know that I know all the episodes. I don't know the titles of them, except a piece of the action because I'm half Italian and I grew up in Philadelphia. So of course you're going to know that, right? So
exactly.
Hey, Captain, that ain't bad. Yeah. I would advise you to keep down an ox mix.
Bones, in the language of the planet, what's your beef?
Well, I don't know how serious this is, Jim. I left my communicator.
In Bella's office?
Think it's that serious?
Serious. Serious, Bones. It upsets the whole percentage.
How do you mean?
Well, in a few years, the Iosians may demand a piece of our action.
got one other question here. Let me bring this one up. Again, it's from a fan who's checking out the show here. Here's someone. His name is it's a female. Her name's Sally. I want to be an actress. I think nowadays they call them actors. By the way, I don't think they call them actresses. They call everybody an actor.
It's an actor.
Yeah. So I want to be an actor. Do I try starting out in plays, or do I get an agent? What are the first steps to being an actor? Or she calls an actress. What can you give any advice? Since obviously you are a producer, an actor, and a writer.
Well,
where should she start?
First of all, I'm not like a big Hollywood producer. That's not what that's not what I do. I'm producing a Star Trek fan film. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I will say that what I did in preparing for this role, not being an actor, was I went to acting school out here in Los Angeles at the Howard Fine studio, which is one of the Howard Fine is one of the top acting coaches in Los Angeles.
Howard Fine. I'm getting it confused with Larry Fine from the Three Stooges. Okay, someone different. Okay,
someone different. Yeah, Howard Fine's an amazing actor. His students include Chris Pine and who else? Bradley Cooper. So he's really good, and he's brilliant. And I was fortunate to study with him for a while. And Richard Hatch was one of my acting coaches. So, I started working 2 years before we shot. I started working at it. So I think that's probably a good place to start is to find an acting school and start working and seeing training and learn the processes, because you don't really understand acting if all you do is watch TV and movies. I look now at TVs and movies totally different because I appreciate what the actors do so much more and realize how difficult it is. So I really suggest get some training wherever you are, find an acting school and start and find multiple, and then get into a community theater and get into whatever you can do. Just start doing it.
Wow. Now, by the way, when you're doing a production like AXANAR or any movie, how many minutes a day are shot? Because I heard that there's very few minutes of actual shooting that takes place. I mean, there's editing and all that. How long does it take to pull off the 22 minutes that you guys did there? Was it a couple weeks to do it, a couple months, or how many minutes a day do you do of actually taking the material that's done multiple times and pulling it into something that's usable from that day? There's probably no formula, right?
No, there really isn't. I think, first of all, we shot for 2 full days, plus an extra morning because the director forgot to get some shots. So
that was quick, real quick, right?
Yeah, but look at what we were doing. All we were doing was shooting actors on green screen, for the most part. We had a couple extra scenes in there. Karn walking down the hallway, Sonya in her ship. So yeah, there were some other scenes, but basically that's what we had. What you try and do is shoot between, and it all depends. And I'm no expert here, but from what my team has been telling me, you try and get 3 to 6 pages of script done a day. On average, typically in your typical shoot. Sometimes you're shooting a lot more. It all depends on the setups. How many times are you changing actors, changing makeup? How many scene changes, set changes? It really all depends. We were able to get through basically 10 pages a day because it was actors reciting lines, talking to the camera. It was totally different. Okay. So it really depends. And then it took us, we shot in May, and basically May, June, and 2.5 months later, we had our finished film.
Okay, now I'm curious about this. AXANAR has, if you follow the guidelines, you have some limitations. And I'm not asking you if you're going to follow the guidelines or not. I'm not going to ask that. Okay, so you are. Okay, so now, after those 2 episodes are completed, you're going to have to make a decision. Can the decision be, since you're not doing a Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, so you don't have the exact same characters, you've got the Klingons, you've got the Vulcans, can you do something like, the Klingons have a mentor race called whatever you want to call them, Species 1490, like Voyager had, right? So you've got them, and they've been kind of mentored to be the Klingons on steroids, and they go into another quadrant of the galaxy, and they start to dominate. In other words, can you take what you've got there, the expenditure of all the props that you've got, and you don't want to end it. The fans don't want to see it end. Can you protract that into just a general sci-fi thing and keep a storyline going? Because obviously you've got the means to do that.
Well, yes, we can, and we want to do. We've got 2 other projects that we want to work on that we're going to do once we're done with AXANAR. The key thing is getting AXANAR done right now. Okay. But yes, we'll use. We'd love. And the other thing is with our studio. So basically, we moved to Atlanta. We moved from the 15,000 square feet we had into 6,000 square feet. And Other World Computing, which is one of the top makers of hard drives in the world, is sponsoring our studio. So it's called OWC Studios, Other World Computing Studios. And the goal is to make a lot of content. And so one of the things we're doing is telling other fan films, if you want to make a fan film, come and use our studio. That's basically it. So we've already got interest from a couple other productions that want to come and use our studio, and we'd love to have them. We charge them basically costs, whatever turning the lights on and open the doors costs, and that's what we want to do. Then we have our other productions. I've got another production that we're working on that we're real excited about, that will blow Star Trek fans away, that they're really excited about. And we definitely have a project we'd like to work on in another universe. So.
Now, I know one of the questions that every fan wants to ask, and I'm going to ask this as well. Star Trek is very much, and I asked you this in the little promo that we did earlier, but Star Trek is very much character driven. It's the interaction of characters. One of the episodes that I remember the most, that I kind of liked the most, it was one that had almost no sci-fi stuff behind it, no CGI stuff, but it was John Luke is on the surface of he's recovering from the Borg, and I think he meets with his family. Or no, that's not the one. That's the second best one. The best one is their confusion, and it's not drug induced, by the way, despite the hair. But the one where the Enterprise is traveling and they find a probe, and the probe incapacitates Picard. And what happens is the race of people that launched the probe want to make sure that their life's experiences are not totally lost. So what they've done is they've neutralized Picard, but he's living a whole life of 30 or 40 years living on the planet. Initially, he does not accept the fact that he's there. He knows he's a starship captain. Eventually, when he's on the planet, he has a wife. And then eventually he has a child. I think he has 2 kids. And one of the kids becomes a scientist, but the planet is dying. And I remember the episode vividly because it was one of the more emotional parts of all the episodes, because at the end of it, he's introduced to the reality that he is not on the planet. He is actually part of the experience to transpose that set of beings into another mind so that they can be lived throughout, longer than the longevity that planet had. And then I remember when he gets on the Enterprise and when the probe neutralizes, he's lived 40 years of his life with a family. And I remember one of the things that's found in the probe, the only thing that's lasting, is a flute that he played. And the way he clutches that flute actually is quite an emotional projection of that character to the fans of the show, because he really had a love, and the only connection he had to that family was the flute. So my whole long discussion of that is Star Trek, when it's limited to 2 15-minute episodes, is going to lose the personality that the fans come to expect from Star Trek. So that's why it's really a bummer to the fans to know that there are limitations to what you guys do so very well. And I got to shout you out. You guys do this very well. So it's a really bummer to the fans who love what you're doing. They love the connection to whether it's a more primitive style of fan presentation or a more perfected one. They're going to lose out in the experience that they've been enjoying.
Yeah, that episode is called The Inner Light.
Oh, you remember that one, yeah.
It is generally considered the best Star Trek Next Generation episode.
I didn't know that. It happened to be my favorite. I didn't know that.
My favorite too. It's hard not to love that episode.
Yeah.
It is really amazing. It's an amazing story. So it's certainly one of the 2 or 3 best Star Trek episodes of all time. And I think you hit it on the head, and I think it has an emotional resonance that makes us love it. And listen, I think Star Trek is bigger than all of us. It's bigger than its current IP owner. It is a part of our cultural lexicon, and it will be around when you and I are both gone. So it will have many forms, and there will be many more series and many more movies. Some of them will be from the studios, whoever owns the IP. Some of it will be from fans. And I think, I believe in this big, rich Star Trek multiverse, which is we have movies and we have TV and we have different universes. There's the JJ universe. There's the original Prime timeline. There's now the Discovery timeline. There's fan films. There's books. There's comics. There's all different things. Role-playing games. All these different universes that play within Star Trek. Yep. And I think the more fans can be involved, the better. And we've undertaken an initiative to get fans more involved, writing their own AXANAR stories. One guy, Trey, the guy who called in, is writing a comic book about AXANAR. There's the more people can do their own Star Trek, the better it makes Star Trek as a whole. And I think that is really something that is lost upon CBS.
Yep. So I'm curious about this. You said Star Trek is going to live beyond our lives. Do you think the Rocky franchise will as well?
Absolutely. I mean, Rocky again is like Star Trek. Rocky is part of our culture. Rocky is now it is one of those touchstone stories that will be referred back to. Just like Star Wars took some very, very old storytelling themes, so did Rocky, the underdog, the person who comes from nowhere. Rocky is, and I loved Creed. I thought Creed was just...
It was good. Excellent. I loved it too.
Yeah. Actually, one of my good friends is a big collector of Rocky memorabilia. You should see his office. It's crazy, the stuff he has. My friend Paulie, he's awesome. But I think what we have is we have stories that are timeless. And they may be universes like Star Trek or Star Wars, or they may be stories like Rocky or the original Star Wars story, or Sherlock Holmes, right? They're stories that will always be brought up and be part of our culture. So Rocky is now like Sherlock Holmes. I mean, more people probably know who Rocky is than Sherlock Holmes, certainly in this country. And I think that's good. And I think what that does is it gives us things that define our culture and help us build our own our own cultural ethos. Because listen, there's so much animosity and diversity in this country politically these days. What we need are things that bring us together. And I always try and keep politics out of my Star Trek. I tell all of AXANAR, look, AXANAR is AXANAR. On my personal Facebook page, I'm very political. I is nowhere near my Star Trek or my AXANAR because we need to keep those things as pure and adherent to the precepts that Gene Roddenberry set down for Star Trek.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because the original series had a couple episodes that were Sherlock Holmes based. I remember that. And it's funny, one of the episodes of Voyager, I think Chakotay or whatever his name was, actually was a boxer in one of the episodes, almost like a Rocky character. So it's kind of interesting. But I'll tell you what, let's, if you don't mind, let's play another track by a Phoenix, Arizona band called Chemicals of Democracy. We'll play that track. And I'm going to take this segment of the show out here by giving you my impression of one of the characters from Rocky. It was Mickey. And he says, "I'll knock you to tomorrow, Rock." How was that? Keep the day gig going, right?
Yeah.
So here we go. We're going to play, the track is called, it's called You Suck. And it has nothing to do with me. He didn't write this based upon me, but let's play the track now. It's called Chemicals of Democracy. These are really a good band. They're from Phoenix, Arizona. And they've supported my show through its growth and through me ranting and raving periodically. So here we go. This is Chemicals of Democracy. Track is You Suck. And these guys are cool. The guy that is I think it's the guitar player, is the Klingon lookalike that I'm just looking for all the videos. And here we go.
My oxygen is raining, blood that runs through me races so rapidly, tense my aggression. Retaliate or justify. You saw all the life from me. You take everything I need. You want everything but me. My heart's not breaking. You saw all the life from me. You take all the blood I bleed. You want everything but me. My heart's not breaking. You saw all the air I breathe. You take all the blood I bleed. You want everything but me. My heart's not breaking. You suck all the air I breathe. You take all the blood I bleed. You want everything but me. 'Cause you suck. And all the air I breathe. And all the air I breathe. 'Cause you suck.
And that was Chemicals of Democracy. We're going to get back here with Alec on the Dave Darren Show. I do want to ask Alec a couple extra questions here, and then we're going to probably spin some more videos. But Alec, I'm really curious about this. What can people do, fans of the fan films? Are you making recommendations where that they could maybe contact, CBS or Paramount and try to make sure that we can continue with the fan films? Is there anything we can do to help?
Well, in that regard, I would send everyone to Fan Film Factor. They've got basically Jonathan Laney, the guy who writes that great website, has a petition, and he's got a program in place called Project Small Access. It basically is a protest of the guidelines where he's trying to get people to let CBS know that the guidelines are unfair and they need to loosen up. And so I would send fanfilmfactor.com. Go there, get to know Jonathan. He's a great guy. And you can find him on Facebook as well, Fan Film Factor. That's the best way to go because that's not something we really focus on. CBS isn't going to listen to us. So we really want, we leave it to Jonathan and to get things done.
Sure. Okay. So, by the way, I think you have 2 more productions coming out. Are they going to come out? Are you going to do a 30-minute piece, or are you going to do 15-minute pieces? So, how is the situation going with them?
Yeah, it's probably going to be 2 15-minute episodes. Okay. That's what we're coming out with, and those are I'm writing the scripts. Should be writing right now. I'm taking a break to speak with y'all. And then I'll be back to writing the script. Hopefully that'll be done today or tomorrow. And then, off to pre-production. Then it's, polishing the script, casting, getting dates set, raising the money. We have to raise money to do this. So there's a lot involved.
Okay, cool. Now, by the way, I have someone here who said that they do, let's see, what is his comment here? Someone has a bachelor degree in auto production and love making scores for videos. By the way, if someone does want to send scores to videos, do you accept that, or are you someone who's willing to accept people who submit music for productions?
Well, we actually have a composer. Okay. Alex Bornstein, our brilliant composer, has been with us for 4 years now, and he's brilliant. He worked with both Hans Zimmer and Bear McCreary. So we're very happy with our composer. So thank you for your offer, but we don't have any need of a composer because we have a brilliant one ourselves.
Okay, very cool. And how do people hook up with AXANAR to make sure we keep current with what's going on when these episodes are going to be available? Are you best noted on Twitter, Facebook? I'm sure a website for you guys as well is very important for you guys to have. And so what are those forms? Sure.
So best way to get a hold of us, AXANARproductions.com. That is our website, www.axanarproductions.com. You can find us on Facebook. Just look up AXANAR or AXANAR Film, at AXANAR Film. We are at AXANAR Film on Twitter. Those are all the best ways to find us. And, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to contact me directly, Alec at AXANARproductions.com. But I'm on all those websites. There's also an AXANAR fan group. Look up AXANAR fan group on Facebook. that very active. Yeah, so that's the best way to get a hold of him.
Okay, a couple of questions here. They're the same. One's very similar to the other, so I'll combine them. It's Paul K. and Lisa Schmidt. Actually, I shouldn't have given her last name, but oh well. So it's a common enough name, right? So they both are kind of asking the question, since you got involved in this, the complexities with doing the work that you've done, complexity of sets, complexity of gathering the people together, actors, and we talked about the composer. Any regrets?
Oh, gosh, I guess regrets is different than would you do things differently. And certainly we would do things very differently if we did it all again. We're exploring new territory when we were doing what we were doing. And that always leaves you making decisions that are somewhat uneducated or uninformed. We would definitely do things differently. We got a studio to make AXANAR and then hope to make more productions. I wouldn't have gotten a studio. I didn't want to get a studio in the first place. I was kind of talked into it by my director at the time. We wanted to shoot AXANAR up at James Cawley's Star Trek Voyager sets in New York, which is now a museum. That was the original plan. And so that's probably my biggest regret is getting a studio, investing that money when we should have put that money into making AXANAR the way I originally wanted to. So, yeah.
Wow. So out of curiosity, another gentleman here, George T. That's not George Takai, I'm assuming. But he asked, he says, out of all of now you already mentioned your favorite episode and I guess the favorite of most of the fans from the Next Generation. How about any of the original, I guess he's asking the original series. Did you have a favorite? Was it the one with the character that you play?
No, actually not.
Look, you said that wasn't one of the best episodes. But
yeah, it wasn't a great episode.
Yeah, which episode did you like the best, I guess? If you can recall an episode that you liked.
Sure, my favorite episode from the original series is Doomsday Machine. And you got to watch it in the remastered version because the visual effects are so awesome in the remastered version. But it really is, there's so much to love about that episode, the way it was shot, the character, William Wyndham's character of Deckard. It's a very classic Star Trek story about they're facing this insurmountable challenge. How do you get around it? There was a lot that I really loved about that episode, and it's funny because I probably would have told you, Sitting on the Edge of Forever a few years ago, or maybe Mirror Mirror. But Doomsday Machine, with the advent of the remastered version, has really grown on me. But those are my three favorite: Mirror Mirror, Doomsday Machine, and City on the Edge of Forever.
Wow. And George T. continues on. Hopefully he's not going to go through every single television version of Star Trek, but he does ask, how about Voyager? Did you have a favorite Voyager episode?
Oh.
Did you like Voyager, by the way? I mean, that's one that's kind of different than the other ones. And to be honest with you, out of all of the Star Trek captains, and I think I said this on Facebook to you, my favorite starship captain, maybe it's because it's more recent and it's more available on the BBC now to watch it, with Voyager, is Janeway. She's actually my favorite captain. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, certainly it was good to see a female captain for the first time. I mean, that was really good. That was, it was like, we had our first African-American captain, then we needed a female captain. So I was happy to see that. She wasn't my favorite, but she wasn't my least favorite. So, it was Voyager is a tough one. I'd have to think long and hard about what my favorite episode of Voyager was, because it might have been Endgame, the finale. I really enjoyed the finale. Yeah, I thought it was good, but there were a lot of good episodes. There were a lot of mediocre episodes in Voyager, because Voyager, just was like, by this time it was the fourth Star Trek series, and a lot of the tropes were coming up again. But there were some good episodes there. I think generally it was a fun show. I love all the Captain Proton episodes where they go and where Tom Paris and Harry go on holodeck and relive like the Flash Gordon era, serials, and it was all in black and white. That was a lot of fun.
So one of the characters does a pretty good George Takai with the "Oh my." He does. I forget which character that was, but what I liked about Janeway is she was able to play off the sensitivity of her, of being a female, the sensitivity of being like away from home, like lost in space for so long of a time. Yet she was pretty tough. She was pretty brutal in some of the episodes.
Yeah,
so I think she pulled that off pretty well. She balanced that character out quite well. So
I thought she was a good choice as an actor, and I
Yeah.
thought she did, really. I thought she did a very good job with the role. I think those are tough. I think sometimes it's challenging. As viewers, when we see a woman in such a position of strength, if you're a man, you have built-in prejudices sometimes. And not only, and as we see in the political sphere, or the working place, women in positions of power are way harshly more criticized than men are, and supremely unfairly. So it was good to see that work out successfully in Voyager.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I had no problems with seeing a female captain at all. I just thought, well, I'm going to watch another Star Trek series. It'll be kind of cool to watch it again. Do you think that there was a time period where it was like too many of them? Because I think we had Enterprise overlapping a little bit with the Next Generation. At least I think so. Then we had Deep Space Nine. We had like a saturation of too much of it. Didn't you think?
Well, Deep Space Nine started during the last season of Next Generation.
Okay.
That was the big overlap. And then I think Voyager may have overlapped with Deep Space Nine. Then for a few years, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure if it was oversaturation. I don't really know. But I do know that viewership just went down over time. And a lot of that was because Star Trek wasn't doing anything new. I mean, even in Enterprise, it was still kind of the same old, same old. By the time you got to Enterprise, Voyager, it was copies of a copy. And Deep Space Nine was fascinating because it was really different. So, we'll see. We'll see. The movies have certainly reignited interest in Star Trek, although the last movie did the worst of the three, which is kind of disheartening because it may have been the best of the three as far as a movie goes. So, I don't know necessarily. I don't have the answer there. Certainly we all want Star Trek to be wildly successful.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was great having you on the show, Alec. I appreciate you coming on.
You're awesome.
When you have that other project coming out, I know so far it's hush hush, but when it becomes less hush hush, let me know, and I'd love to have you on again. Okay.
We would love to be on again. Thank you. Maybe next time we'll do it with a bunch. I'd love to get Rob Burnett, our director, on, and some of the other people on as well. Do a little roundtable for you.
That'd be tremendous. I would love that very much. And I love the presentation. I love AXANAR. I'm looking forward to seeing those other episodes. When you do have it, make sure you email me, and I'll send it out to my fan base that it's out in case they happen to miss it. So I love to do that. I'm going to take the show out with back-to-back songs from. Let me give these guys a shout out. Who are they? I've got to scroll the screen down. I have technical challenges here all the time, like Howard Stern does on his show. Except I think he's just dishonest about telling you all the challenges. I've got all the challenges. We're going to play Sectus, which is another band from Arizona, because those guys are really cool as well. So thanks, Alec, again for being on the show. I loved having you on. I love talking about Star Trek. It's a cool thing for me to talk about. It gives me one more question. I got one more. Lost in Space, when it first started out, was more diabolical, and it became a children's show. Did you like Lost in Space in the beginning? I played them back, where the character, Dr. Zachary Smith, was a mean guy. He was like a spy on that ship. It was in the beginning, it was kind of cool. Did you find it to be cool?
Was that first season when it's in black and white? It's
yes.
Freaking awesome.
I thought so too, right? I loved it. It was very cool.
And after that, I guess it had 2 more seasons, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
It became color. It became nonsense.
It did. It became like it was a children's show.
Yeah, even as a kid watching it, I was smart enough as a kid to go, "What is going on? This is." Whereas the first season, especially the pilot episode with the giant and the chariot and the jetpack, wow, that was really impressive. So yeah,
I liked it too. I liked that. I liked the original. It's funny. I liked the original Twilight Zone more than the other remakes. Cause here's something. When I was a kid in Philadelphia, I already told you that I told you about the piece of the action. I'm in the Italian section of Philadelphia there, right? But one of the things of the Twilight Zone, I was a newspaper boy. And one of the things for having the most new customers is we got a gift. Now, I got ripped off on the color TV. I was supposed to win a color TV. They gave me a black and white TV. But it was kind of cool because I used to watch in Philadelphia. I used to watch WOR late at night because the signal made it to Philadelphia. But
Channel 9 from New York.
Right. Now, it was not a strong signal because I was in Philadelphia, 90 miles away or whatever it is. But it came in grainy and it came in distorted. It would go in and out, which gave an extra eeriness to the Twilight Zone. It was kind of cool to watch it that way, right?
Well, and right now your young viewers are going, what do you mean the signal had to travel?
Right.
What do you mean you didn't get 1,000 channels? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
you and I grew up with, half a dozen channels. That was it.
Yep, 3, 6, 10, and 12. And then we had UHF, where I'm sure people don't even know what the letter stood for, UHF. What was the other one? VHF. Although I don't know what VHF stood for.
Very high frequency and ultra high frequency.
Oh, okay. I knew ultra high frequency. I didn't know. I thought that was where they had only the PG shows. So I thought it was Virgin high frequency was on 3, 6, and 10. Oh well, I had to end it on a bad note, right? With my adult-oriented humor.
All right, that's all good memories.
Right.
Well, I will say goodbye with the traditional Vulcan greeting: "Live long and prosper, my friend."
And I tried to do that last time, but you see, I have all these rings, so
you're not going to be able to do it.
I can't do it. Well, Alec, again, thanks so much for being on the show, and I'll take the show out, like I said, with those extra songs at the end of the show. And thanks to Rock Solid Entertainment for supporting the show, promoting the show, getting us all the viewers of the show. Rock Solid Talent Entertainment. We got Phil Taylor out there, who gives the show out to all the viewers that get to see it. Thanks again, and I'll hit you up again when the new stuff comes out. Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Beyond the rim of the starlight, my love, he wanders in starflight. I know he'll find in star-clustered regions love, strange love, a star woman teaches. I know his journey ends never. His Star Trek will go on forever. But tell him while he wanders his starry sea, remember me. I know his journey ends never. His Star Trek will go on forever. But tell him while he wanders his starry sea.
I want you to find what you once had. I want you to go back to the greatness that you've lost, Captain.
I am Lord Garth, Master of the Universe.
something creeping. There's something hiding underneath the bed. She said, don't worry, no, don't you worry, it's just all in your head. There's something coming, there's something coming, won't you stay with me? You're only dreaming, you're only dreaming, you just need to get some sleep. Leave a light on for me, I'm afraid of the dark. Oh yeah, I just wanted to sleep, I just needed a spark to light the way. There's something creeping, there's something hiding in the shadows. I hear it moving, I feel it breathing, and I think that it's close. You said don't worry, no, don't you worry, but you don't understand. Inside I'm screaming, my heart is beating, and I think that I'm dead. Think that I'm dead. Leave a light up for me, I'm afraid of the dark. Oh yeah, yeah. I just wanted to sleep, I just needed a spark to light the way, yeah. I am coming for you, I am coming for you. Yes, it's all in your head, yes, it's all in your head. Leave a light on for me, I'm afraid of the dark. Oh yeah, yeah. I just wanted to sleep, I just needed a spark